Hey, what's up, guys? We're the Trade Block Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the NBA playoffs, how they've been going, how are the Heat beating the Bucks right now. We're going to talk about NFL. That's coming out this Thursday, start of the season. Excited for that. We're going to get into some predictions for that, maybe even some Super Bowl predictions. Should be fun. So first, let's start off with the NBA. So
Wait, quick announcement, guys. We're going to be switching up our posting time to Saturday afternoon now. We think it'll be more digestible for the NFL season, where we can talk about upcoming games and then analyze the Thursday night games. So, go on, Jake.
Sorry. All right. So, NBA, first round, kind of crazy. 2 Game 7s. That Nuggets-Jazz game, that gave everyone anxiety. Wow, the Nuggets pulled it out. They came back. Jazz blew a 3-1 lead, pulled the Warriors, But huge props to Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell. Both played out of their minds. But that was the best series of the playoffs so far, 100%.
I think Jamal Murray had some extra motivating factors. I won't get into it. No. The bubble is much more fun for players now.
No.
A specific player. That was one of the best series I've ever seen, which is crazy because it was kind of like, Denver wins game 1, then Utah wins the next 3, and then Denver wins the last 3. So it was kind of like very lopsided in that way, and yet like every game was really, really close. Like every game I think was decided by like a margin of 10 points or very close to that. What a series. I'd like to talk about Boston-Toronto, kind of jumping to the conference semifinals. That series, I thought Boston was going to run away with it. Like I had Boston winning going into it against Toronto just because Boston's playing like very positionless right now, and I think that's terrifying. But Toronto bit back, got a Game 3 win. It's much more interesting now. Like at least they're still in it. If Anunoby misses that shot, that's it. It's over for Toronto. Yeah. But I think we'll end up seeing Boston-Miami, and I think that's going to be very interesting.
Celtics Heat conference.
I think that's going to go 7 games.
That would be really, really fun.
That'd be fun for this podcast, especially because
this podcast.
We'd be pinned up against each other. But yeah, that'd be really fun.
But back to Game 3 of Boston, Toronto, I feel like, while technically that is a Toronto win, Boston really almost had a 3-0 lead against Toronto, which I was not expecting because I thought Toronto might even have a chance to take it by the way they were playing in the first round. This was crazy. Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry was going out of their minds. But now, Boston is just taking control. They're really just showing off like why they have a real shot to go to the finals. And I think it's one of the most exciting second round matches that we had.
And Boston had a bad game. Like they played horrible and they still only lost by 1 to Toronto. Like the only guy out there who was straight up balling was Kemba Walker. And he almost had the game-winning assist right there.
That was such a nice pass. That was such a nice pass.
That was
clean.
That was really clean.
Okay, but so hear me out for a second, though.
No.
So, okay, wait. 0.5 seconds left. Everyone thinks Boston is going to go up 3-0. Nothing like what we saw OG do in that shot ever happens. I can't remember the last time. I mean, you could say Luka.
Kawhi Leonard.
I mean,
yeah. True. But I mean, it was 0.5 seconds. That's the thing.
Yeah. He didn't set his
caught it.
Shot at all.
He didn't fall.
He literally caught it.
Yeah.
And to do that in a 3 in crunch time is crazy. Do we see a shift in momentum now?
Yes.
I think it's really possible that Toronto ends up taking game 2. Because I don't know. If I'm Toronto, I'm
game
going
4.
into that locker room.
Game 4.
Game 4. My bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking game 2. And
yeah, sure you were.
Yeah. Whatever. Okay. No, but so you're going into that locker room and you're excited now. I mean, you guys were not competing in the first 2 games. And I get it, Boston had a bad game. But the Raptors also played pretty well. I mean, you got to give them credit for that. And I think that if you put out an effort like that and you win a game like that, that definitely can change the momentum of a series. I mean, we were just talking about it with Denver and Utah. The momentum shifted twice after game 2 when Donovan Mitchell, also props to Donovan Mitchell. I feel so bad. Honestly, I feel so bad.
He put his heart on the line, man.
He's a lot like Dwayne Wade. It's like scary.
Yeah, similarities, a lot of similarities.
Kind of like an undersized guy who can score from anywhere. Like so much energy.
Athletic freak. I mean,
he's gonna be a star in this league for years to come.
Utah brings in another guy. They could be scary.
That's got me thinking though. If they kept Hayward,
sure.
That team could be scary right now.
No, Boston would still be where they were, kind of.
Yeah,
probably.
Somewhat.
They don't need Hayward.
So I just want to say something about as a Celtics fan here. Obviously, to all Celtics fans out there, I know that Game 3 loss was very tough. Okay, I was just in disbelief after that happened. I was very sad. But Game 4 tonight, I think. First off, I think we're gonna win it because the guys in that Celtics locker room have that mental fortitude, which like some people in the league, like a lot of people in the league would blame the loss on refs, blame the loss on whatever. Jaylen Brown came out, first thing he said is my fault. It's my fault. That loss is on me. That's exactly what I want to hear.
But
he had one job.
Taco's tall enough to just block that. I mean, I don't know what happened.
No, props to Kyle Lowry. I mean, I was talking the other day.
They're done. And
the other day, most underrated player.
Yeah, so. True. You did say that. And I can see what you mean about the momentum shift and everything, but I don't think the Celtics will allow that to happen. I think Tatum will come out and have a much better game. Hopefully, Kemba stays balling.
The Celtics are just a different breed.
It's just a different breed.
They're just built different.
It's just built differently. Okay. Let's just get to the conference finals. Have it Celtics Heat, and then we'll talk about that. Okay.
Right.
That's gonna be fun. Let's go to the West really quickly.
Yeah.
Houston beat LA. Any hot takes about that?
No.
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Any spicy takes right now will be shut down.
I think it could go 6, but I mean, LeBron
Lakers
didn't
6.
have a great night. He only scored
20. LeBron scored 0 points
in the fourth.
And Anthony Davis had 6.
Yeah.
I think they went on a scoring drought of like 5 minutes. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, we saw with Portland. Portland took game 1. I don't really think it's that.
Riley, what do you think about the Rockets small ball?
I've always talked about the Rockets small ball. That was the first point that I've ever mentioned. And look, right now, it's paying off. Or it did pay off. Will it pay off for the future? Here's my opinion. No, it will not. The Lakers are down. But it was fun, and I'm glad that the Rockets are happy. Russ is back, as I predicted and said.
You did say that.
I did say that.
Honestly, that was pretty miraculous.
We clowned him on the Insta, but he did say
they clowned me.
Same day, he said the quad injury, no big deal. Russ comes back.
And he comes back.
And he comes back next game. We're not going to talk about the 3 days that they took off.
True. We're not going to talk about that. Let's just talk about my success in predicting miraculous things. But I think something interesting that I also predicted was the Heats and Bucks series, because I said that if the Heat can block Giannis, it's not even going to be close because they're going to take it in 4 or 5. Like, it's not going to go to 6 or 7 if they can block Giannis. If they can't block Giannis, then...
Is that really a prediction?
It is a prediction. Because
can we confirm that he said that?
If the Lakers
I just said
that. 4 or 5. Like, that's not a prediction.
4 or... They were going to do it fast.
4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or maybe the Bucks were.
Not 6 or 7. I was very clear against 6 or 7. But Giannis is the Bucks, and they stopped the Bucks, who is Giannis, so they're just going to sweep it.
You think they're gonna sweep it? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
at this
very
point,
proud of
it
the
looks kind of like a sweep.
Yeah.
And notice how we didn't even talk about the Clippers Nuggets series because we don't need to talk about that. Props to the Nuggets, but I mean it's over. Kawhi's here.
I feel bad because they had that huge battle, and now it's just over.
Yeah.
It's over. Clippers in
like
4 or 5.
Back.
Maybe the Nuggets get one game, but
Pat Bev is back. Like Paul George is playing like okay, like which is
good
better
enough.
than the trash series, right?
Pandemic.
And Denver doesn't have anyone like Luka. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's switch gears now. to the NFL. We've kind of been lacking on NFL takes lately, so this will be the NFL episode.
Hey,
what do you guys want to start with? Super Bowl predictions? Just jump into
I
that.
want Riley to talk first.
Oh yeah,
All right.
let's
Okay.
hear Riley.
So-
That's always fun.
I want the listeners to know this right off the bat. We did game predictions throughout the whole series prediction, and I have some hot takes. All right, I have 4 teams, 2 of which are going 16-0, and 2 of which are going 0-16.
Which
Now-
should be the first time ever that this happens.
Yes, but don't blame me, blame the schedule, as I've said before. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are a horrendous team right now. They've traded away all their good players, and they're just looking like a hollowed out casket of a team. They're a stuffed Jaguar. They're dead. They're dead in the water. I looked at all their games. They have some winnable games that I don't think are going to go their way, just because of how they are.
Facts.
And
Good take.
and
Good take,
you know,
good take.
also I have Washington going 0-16 because they're in a similar fashion. They don't even have a name right now, which is the best representation of what their team is about. You know, if a bad team is gonna play some games, I think they need to have a strong mentality, and they just seem kind of like a defeated roster. They just look sad, kind of. The Ravens.
Right, now everyone jumps on Riley.
Yeah, fine. Fine. This happens, but I'm always right in the.
Well, I mean, okay, I would like to make a point about what you said though, and it is contradictory, but I think that it's something that people should take into account. Is that, I mean, everyone thinks the Jags are tanking, right? They trade away all their players. They're doing something very similar to what the Dolphins did back in
Released
last
Fournette
year,
out of
just
nowhere.
last year.
To an even
No,
more
I mean,
extent.
Yannick
Like, I
and
think they have
Garoppolo.
even
Worse
more
than
picks.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing something very similar. And although they're giving away all these pieces, the players and the coaches in that locker room don't give up. I mean, the front office may
Exactly.
be like, we're going to put our team in a bad position so they don't win a lot of games. But when you have guys like Gardner Minshew and DJ Chark and players on the defense, I don't know, Miles Jack or something. He's like Joe Schobert. They brought in Joe Schobert. Guys like that.
Oh, Schobert.
Yeah.
He's gonna save the
Hey,
day.
he was good on the Browns. He was good on the Browns. Pro bowler, believe it or not.
Everyone
Right?
is a Pro Bowler.
Mitch Trubisky's a Pro Bowler. That's
no.
fair. I can't make an argument. Okay. No, but I mean, these teams that you're saying, same thing goes for Washington. They have very depleted rosters, but I don't think that the players and coaches themselves are going to give in and week out just because of that. I mean, they're in a bad position. And I think a really good example of this is the Dolphins last year because we saw what they did. Now, give credit to whoever you want for that. Give, Fitzmagic, Brian Flores. But I think that we're going to see similar things where it could start off very rough, but eventually, once they get a little more comfortable, once the season starts rolling, they're not going to go 0-16. I think 2-14 is a great possibility for those teams just because Jags don't have a defense and Redskins have a pretty bad offense. Not as bad as the Jags defense in comparison, but I think 2-14, 3-13 is fair. I don't think that they're going to lose all their games.
We will see.
I don't understand something. Like, maybe you guys can help me understand. I don't understand how you go from, like, a very close AFC championship game against the Patriots, like, extremely close. Like, even some questionable calls were made against the Jaguars where, like, like, maybe if the correct call was made, like, maybe we see the Jaguars in the Super Bowl, Gilmore had to have an amazing play on the last play of the game to send the Patriots to the Super Bowl, That whole season, you have Saxonville, right? Like, the defense is back. Got Ramsey, Ngakoue. I don't have to tell you guys how good that defense was.
We're not there now, by the way.
Yeah, and then you trade everyone away. Like I get it. Like, okay, like Bortles is like trash, but like then you just get a replacement for Bortles, and like it's a better team then. Like the next year. Like, I just don't know how you blow that up after an AFC championship appearance and, like, a very good game from them. I don't know how you get to a point where we're discussing if they can win 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it.
Yeah,
I think that there's 3 reasons for that. Number 1, Jalen Ramsey doesn't want to play there anymore. That completely changes the defense. Because
Would that have happened if the team was competent?
I don't know.
Hot take.
But I'm saying the secondary and the front 7, the reason that they were Saxonville is because they worked in a unit. They had AJ Boye and Jalen Ramsey. Those guys are no slouch. They were top 10, maybe even top 5 corners in that year. And when you have corners that can lock up like that, you're gonna and you have a good defensive line, you're gonna see a lot of pressure. You're gonna see a lot of sacks. I think that losing Jalen Ramsey was part of it. I also think terrible quarterback play was a part of it because we know Blake Bortles. I don't know how he got them there. It was their defense, but kind of reminded me of Jimmy Garoppolo this year. It's mediocre quarterback play led by a great defense. We've seen it time and time again. And lastly, I think it has to do with coaching. I don't know how Doug Marrone is still coaching this team. I think that he's going to be fired by midseason. I don't think that he's done a good job with his team, and I think early on in the season it's going to show. And he's going to be gone by, week 6?
Yeah, you're right. He's no Adam Gase.
Yeah.
Sure.
Adam Gase will be gone by week 2. He's special. Yeah.
All right, so
I just want to say real quick. The Jags and Washington, they're bad teams, but they both have bright spots. Washington has a fantastic D-line. Jags have a fantastic wide receiver core. Washington needs to figure out what they're doing. Are they going to stick with Dwayne Haskins, or are they tanking for a quarterback? Jags, it seems to be leaning towards tanking for a quarterback, even though Minshew's a pretty good quarterback. We'll see what happens there. But go ahead, talk about your 16-0 teams.
All right, so my 16-0 teams are the Ravens. I think everyone can agree with me there.
No.
A couple of toss-ups. A couple of toss-ups, obviously, against the Chiefs. But if you assume, like I do, that they will beat the Chiefs, I don't think there's any other teams that will beat them because they're an offensive powerhouse. They're a defensive powerhouse. They're an overall powerhouse. They're a coaching powerhouse. This is such a strong team.
There's no games where they're just like, oh, we'll have an off week.
They were 14-2 last year. They had one fluke against Cleveland, and then they lost to the Chiefs.
So basically, upsets don't happen. Upsets never happen.
They do happen. All right, I have a margin of error of 2 because, accounting for an upset. But I'm not going to just predict that Cleveland beats the Ravens this year because I don't think that they will.
I also want to say, I don't think that Cleveland game.
Better.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
I don't think the Cleveland game was representative of who the Ravens were last year.
I think the Browns outplayed the Ravens that game because Nick Chubb went off and they scored 40 points on offense.
And that's what happened last year in the playoffs with Derrick Henry. You were going to have a running back. It just goes crazy.
Maybe there's a correlation that the run defense can't stop dominant running backs.
They've improved on the running defense this offseason, adding Calais Campbell and keeping a lot of the other guys. I think he is a very strong player.
But the AFC North only got better. The rest of the North only got better.
Sure.
The Browns stayed pretty much the same, except they got Austin Hooper. The Steelers
and their
have
offensive
the same
line.
And the coach change. I think the biggest deal was the coach change.
Okay, fine. I haven't been paying attention to Cleveland. You got me. Ooh, you got me. The Steelers got Big Ben back. Everyone's healthy now. They still got that terrifying defense that I got on my fantasy team. No big deal. And then the Browns finally have a quarterback. The Bengals finally have a quarterback. So,
he's a good one.
I mean, they dropped a game to Cleveland last year, and you think they won't drop one to a better AFC North? You're capping. You're out of your mind.
I'm not capping. I think that is what's going to happen. And so, the Seahawks is another team that I have, which is, slightly more debatable.
Very much more debatable.
They could drop both of their games to the Saints, and they could drop a game to San Francisco. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to win both games against the Saints because they have such a powerhouse in their offense. And the Jamal Adams trade was great for them And Russell Wilson, even though the offensive line isn't perfect, Russell Wilson has showed time and time and again that he can deal with that and that he can scramble and make things happen. So that's my reasoning for that.
So you think something that very rarely ever happens, like a 16-0 season or an 0-16 season, like let's say either one of those happens like every 4 years, you think 4 teams that's going to happen to them?
Don't blame me, blame the schedule.
No, I blame you.
Don't say that.
We
Don't
all
say
look
that.
at the same
That's not fair.
We all look at the same schedule, and we all make competent predictions.
Okay, look, we'll see who's the most competent by the end of the season. As I've proven time and time again, if I know when a quad injury is not serious, I know when the team is going to go 16-0.
I just want to say, I didn't realize this, but I predicted the Browns to upset the Ravens week 1. So that should be fun. So that should be really fun.
The Ravens lost to the Browns
we'll
and the Titans, but you have them going 16-0.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even in a week 17, when they would have clinched a playoff spot, like playing with scrubs, probably not even starting Lamar, you still have them winning that game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to make a comp for a second because I was thinking about this earlier today, and I feel like it's a very valid comp, and I think it's a really interesting one. I think Lamar Jackson of last year reminds me a lot of MVP Cam. A lot of MVP Cam.
Interesting.
Sure.
I was gonna say I thought you were gonna say
similar
RG3 rookie year. I thought you were gonna say RG3, but
I thought you were going to say Michael Vick, and I was
he
going
was
to
better.
kill you.
No, I don't. I mean, I get
Michael
it,
Vick
but
comparison.
I mean,
Mhm.
no.
MVP
Look-
Cam. Interesting.
Look at the team and what they did. Last year Ravens went 14-2. Panthers
Panthers went 15-1.
15-1.
15-1.
Both choked in the playoffs at different spots, granted,
Very
But-
different spots.
but they got outplayed by other teams who, weren't as good as them in the regular season. And the comp of Lamar Jackson and Cam Newton in his prime within itself, they remind me, they literally look the same to me. Huge arms, not incredibly accurate. Their play style, I think Lamar.
Is identical, yeah.
Yeah, the two things that worry me about Cam and the two things that worry me about Lamar is consistency and durability. Those are the two things, because you can't play the way that Cam and Lamar play and not get hurt. And I get that Lamar hasn't gotten hurt last season and when he played in the season before. But I don't know, number one, he's not going to have the same record-setting year that he had last year. You can't put up those kind of numbers in back-to-back years. It just doesn't happen. I mean, that was the best rushing offense of all time in terms of stats.
Yeah.
And
I know. I had him on my fantasy team.
exactly. I mean, as a whole, that offense. And you don't see defenses do that. You don't see offenses do that. And this is another reason why I don't think that the Patriots are going to make the playoffs. It's because Cam is inconsistent, as we've seen in the past few years after he had his MVP season, and he kind of spiraled down into what he is now, injuries and inconsistency. And I think that we saw a very strong Lamar Jackson campaign last year. Hence why he won MVP and he did all the things that he did. But I think that teams are going to start to catch up a little bit. And I think that Lamar is going to slow down a little bit. And I think that this year, it's very possible that we see that. I still think that they're going to be the number one seed in the AFC and make the playoffs. But I'm saying, give it a few years. I'd say 1 or 2 years from now, we're going to start to see Lamar kind of on a downward trend. But that's my comp. That's what I look at.
That Panthers team with MVP Cam that was blowing out teams left and right. Like anyone that they that got in front of them, they'd blow them out even in the playoffs. They went 15-1, Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. I remember
Even they
Very
couldn't do
true.
it, and I was watching
Very
him as a
true.
7-year-old, and I was like, wow. Wow.
No, I remember I went to a Dolphins game that day, and we were celebrating in the parking lot because the Panthers lost to the Falcons because they thought that they were going to make a run
Right.
for the title,
Right.
But, hey,
Yeah.
things happen. Flukes happen. and I think you have to account that when you make predictions.
Books
Only once,
happen.
but twice in a season.
And that is why I have a margin of error of 2 on all my
So
picks.
make the error.
So
I will
make
not.
it 14 and 2.
I will
Subtract 2.
I will not make the error because I don't know who I would give the win to, because it would just ruin the whole. It would ruin the whole prediction.
Give it
It
to
would ruin
Atlanta.
everything. I'm not giving it to Atlanta. I'm not giving it to it. They're already going 9-7. They're
It's
fine.
not
Oh,
enough. It's not
generous.
enough. Hey, whoa! Are you disrespecting Atlanta? I haven't making the playoffs. I have the Bucks missing the playoffs.
The
Instead
only
of
way
overtime.
Fair. That's
Atlanta
super fair.
goes 9-7 is if Todd Gurley gets a knee transplant. The only way.
You do know the Falcons went 6-1 over the last 7 games of the season.
Oh, wow.
They
beat
beat
the
the Saints
49ers.
a couple
They beat the
times.
I didn't
49ers.
actually. You know why? Because no one watches their games anymore. You know why?
No one
'Cause
knew
they're
that. No one knew
trash. How are you
man.
starting 11 first-round picks on offense, and we're still like at 9-7, 6-10?
Trust
Like
me,
I
trust
don't
me, trust
know.
me. The Falcons are a sleeper this year. They're gonna make the playoffs.
Well, then you know what? I'm fast asleep.
And the thing is that their offense is great. They threw the most pass. Their passing offense is great, and I think it's going to continue to be great. I think
Calvin Ridley is a sleeper. Calvin Ridley is a sleeper. Major
he's
sleeper.
not a sleeper. Maybe in
He's
fantasy he's a
rated.
sleeper. In real
Nah,
life,
he's a major
in
sleeper.
real life,
Fantasy.
he's one of the best number 2s in the league, in my opinion. And I think
I
that
have him on every
Chris
team.
Godwin
on
is
my
entering the
fantasies.
chat.
oh.
Yeah, Chris
No,
Godwin.
I said
that's
one
right.
of the best. Mike
Oh.
Evans and Chris Godwin are 1A, 1B.
Yeah, that's true.
So at least now, not last year, but now.
Curtis Samuel has entered the chat as well.
DJ
Michael
Moore.
Gallup.
Definitely.
That was a joke, right?
Underrated.
Wait. Curtis Samuel was a joke, right? That was a joke. That was a
Yeah,
haha,
it was a
haha,
joke.
funny.
Okay,
DJ
good.
Moore is underrated. That's all I'm gonna say.
Michael Gallup.
Curtis Samuel.
One of the best. That's what I'm saying.
Curtis
This offense is
DeAndre
going to be really
Hopkins?
impressive. Super impressive.
I'm assuming
Okay.
Larry Fitzgerald's the number 1.
They,
Samuel. Okay. Okay.
but this defense, they lost Desmond Trufant. Dan Quinn's a defensive head coach, but I'm not super confident in this defense, and especially their secondary, to get things done. So I've been going 9-7. I've been going 9-7.
Keep sleeping.
Just missing the playoffs.
I didn't know they had a defense.
the.
It's news to me.
All right. So should we get into?
Let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about Super Bowl predictions because we know
Spicy.
who are Riley's to.
Yeah, so you could probably assume that I have the Ravens Seahawks going into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you
we-
can just mute. Fine too.
Okay, but what are your guys' Super Bowl predictions? Who do you got winning it this year?
So it's pretty basic, but I have Chiefs Ravens for the AFC Conference Finals, and I do have the Chiefs winning because I think the Ravens will get over their playoff struggles a little bit, not the entire way. They don't make it this year, maybe down the line, but I still believe in the Chiefs for right now. That's just the safest pick. I don't want to say the Chiefs, but
It's reasonable.
But I mean,
Yeah.
come on, how can you bet against the $500 million man? You know. And then in the NFC, I have the Saints as the 1 seed, and I have the Seahawks as the 2 seed, and I have them facing off the conference finals, and I have the Seahawks winning. I'm on Riley's train with this one.
Let's
I
go.
have Seahawks Chiefs in the Super Bowl, which is not you have Ravens, but
Okay.
but you know.
So I have
yeah.
a question. Did like D Ford, Chris Jones, did they just die?
They
not-
actually
are they
sat
not
out
the
due to
Chiefs?
COVID.
If that
They
happens,
opted
I'll
out.
be so mad. If that Super Bowl happens and D Ford and Chris Jones don't play, I'll be so mad because Russell Wilson actually doesn't have to deal with a bad offensive line.
He's
He has
still
okay.
one decent player.
But Seahawks Saints. Who do you think can win that? Seahawks Saints.
Saints.
I
Okay,
have the
Saints.
Saints winning the Super Bowl.
Seahawks.
That's my pick. I have the Saints
Ah.
winning the chip.
The Jamal Adams trade is huge. I think that's going to come in really clutch. I really do think that's a huge trade for the Seahawks. I'd put them ahead of the Saints for me. I like them
I
already,
thought
but I'd
this-
put them ahead of the Saints for me.
Seahawks Saints is interesting because
Yeah.
it's like choosing between like 2 bad options, like letting Riley be right, or like breaking the curse of New Orleans in the playoffs. Seahawks. So it's like, which one would I?
Accepting that Riley's right.
Definitely not.
Look, I thought the Saints were gonna win last year because
Yeah,
they were
a lot of people
also really, really
Funny how
strong.
we've been saying that for 3 years. Said something.
That's fair.
Exactly. It says something. I think that's why they're gonna win. Because if the Saints were gonna win a Super Bowl at this point, they would have already done it. And the fact that they haven't, and that they're no better than they were last year, I just don't see it happening. And I think the Seahawks improved from last year. Another reason why I don't see the Saints making it. So, yeah, sorry, Saints. I think you're the best, but you just don't have what it takes.
Okay. The reason why I have the Saints winning it is because I honestly think that this is Drew Brees' last season.
Really?
And I don't know.
So you're saying
that's why I'm
Taysom Hill
saying.
can't do
I
it?
think. Okay.
Taysom
I
You're
Hill.
don't
telling me
think
Jameis Winston can't get it
Jameis
done in
Winston
NOLA?
is gonna get it done, man.
You were sleeping.
No, but I think that we're gonna see something very similar to what we saw with Peyton Manning when he retired. I think that this is gonna be Drew Brees' last year, and this team, the reason why I think that they're gonna win the Super Bowl is because in the trenches, especially if they sign Jadeveon Clowney, top 3 on both sides.
Who do you have out of the
I
AFC?
Hmm?
Who do you have out of the AFC?
I have the Ravens. I have the Ravens making it out.
Interesting. Okay.
I think this is Lamar's best chance to win. But anyway, going off of that, I think that when you have a team who's so dominant, I don't know if you guys ever watch Colin Cowherd or anything, but he's a guy who I listen to a lot, and he makes a very good point that you build teams on the lines. That's what the Dolphins are doing now. I've been seeing it firsthand. That's how you build teams. The Saints have already built those, and the weapons that they have around those pieces are top 5. Michael Thomas is the best wide receiver in the league. Kamara is a top 5 running back. Marshawn Lattimore is top 10 cornerback. DeMario Davis was great last year. Cam Jordan's a top 10 defensive lineman. I mean, you have players all over this roster that are ready to make a run, and I think that we're going to see something super cool. Drew Brees is going to solidify himself as a top 4 quarterback of all time if he wins the Super Bowl, and he's going to go out on top. That's my prediction.
So you think that much has changed over the offseason that they're going to win this year instead of like last year, even though they're virtually the same?
I think that they lose on things. I mean, Marcus Williams and the Minneapolis Miracle. And again, that was one play. They were going to win that game if that fluke doesn't happen. I don't even consider that a choke. I consider one player messing up, not as a team. And then when you go to the Rams in the conference finals, again, bad call. That's just a bad call.
Well, was it?
Yes.
Yes, it was. He tackled
no, that's a joke.
He tackled him.
Yeah. And I'll give credit to the Vikings last year. The Vikings, I think that they played really well, and they genuinely beat the Saints. But I think that this team is going to come back stronger. I think that they're tired of losing. I don't know.
Okay.
So, that's just me.
Well, I'm the only one left with no Super Bowl predictions yet. I was going to say Chiefs Saints, the safest pick. But you didn't come here for safe takes, did you, esteemed listener? No, you came for hot takes.
Spicy
so I'll say this.
Even.
I'll go Ravens out of the AFC. Sure. That's not the spicy take. We haven't gone there yet. I say they beat the Chiefs just because they have a very talented defense. So I feel like that can at least get Mahomes to play human. And then, Lamar can take over games. Like, if it's his night, that night, yeah. I see the Ravens going to Super Bowl. NFC side.
The Arizona Cardinals.
No.
But that's a good joke. That's a good joke.
The Eagles.
This is a secret.
Yes,
No. Dallas.
Whoa. No. That's the one thing you can't
sorry.
do. That's the only thing you couldn't say.
Okay.
That's the only thing you couldn't say.
I've been thinking about it.
Oh, no.
Dak looks good. Dak looks really good. That offense looks studded. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Folks, I was not ready for that at all.
I can't believe this is
You
happening.
came here for hot takes.
I can't believe this.
This is the hottest one you're ever going to hear.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
A closeted Dallas fan in here.
Look, I'm not a Dallas fan. I hate Dallas fans.
Jeez.
Dak looks great. That wide receiver trio is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Maybe the best wide receiver trio in the league as of right now. I mean, like, I don't even, like, who would be the third option in Tampa Bay? Like, I don't know. Like, Gronk? I don't know. Blake Jarwin looks promising as a tight end. Dak is great.
Man, talking about Blake Jarwin. Blake Jarwin is going to rescue.
I let you talk about the
carry them
Eagles
to the
for half an
title.
hour. All right?
Look, I have him as my
Okay,
3
right.
seed. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
I don't think
Okay.
me and Jake have him making the playoffs.
I actually do. I have him.
I think they can beat
Oh.
Seattle.
Am I the only
I
one?
think they can beat Seattle. And then it's
I think so.
Dallas, New Orleans. And we all know what happens to New Orleans in the playoffs. You're telling me that upset can't happen. Like you're telling me it's impossible? It's not.
It's
I
not
can't believe it.
I think
Dallas
it's like
is making the
75-25
playoffs, first of
Saints,
all. Yes.
Ah,
Okay.
I can't believe this.
25% chance.
which is
Nah,
a fair
I'll take it.
upset. Which is a
I'll
fair
give them.
Cowboys, Ravens, Cowboys, Ravens, Cowboys, Ravens.
I'll give it 99-1 upset. You know, I think
Wait, who
99
wins?
Saints. One Cowboys.
Who wins?
Oh,
though? Who
Ravens,
wins?
right? Come on,
Okay,
I'm not going that
alright.
far. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I'm not going that far.
Okay, all right.
If the Cowboys kept Byron Jones, I'd be a lot more optimistic. But
Yeah, no,
I
their
still think
defense
they're going
worries
to.
me. Their defense,
Yeah, the
that's the
defense.
problem. Is their
Van
secondary
Der Esch can still
is
get it
not so
done.
hot. The linebacking core, like, absolutely
Yeah.
insane. But defensive line, I think losing Robert Quinn hurt them a lot. I think by losing Byron Jones hurt them a lot. That's the difference with the Saints to me, is that they have all the pieces. I
Right.
think the Cowboys lost some, and that's what
Michael
worries me.
Bennett too.
I'm in pain. I'm in pain. I'm in physical pain after hearing.
Well,
that.
okay.
I'm in such pain.
Jake, you can yell at me
A
after
conference
this.
championship bid is completely fair.
Oof,
I don't know
Yeah.
if they're gonna make.
Nah,
This
nah.
And then I just have the upset, right? Like it's not that much farther.
It's pretty far. It's pretty far.
It's like a very safe take, and then just an
It's
upset.
not a safe take.
They're 2 upsets away from my prediction being right, but okay.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up.
All right. Well, anyway, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. By the way, 10th episode. That's kind of cool.
Yes,
I think
sir.
that I might as well acknowledge that. But next week we're probably gonna be talking more NBA, and our thirst for football is finally gonna be quenched. We are going to get to see.
Quenched.
Yeah. Carson quenched. Sorry, that was bad. Never
Some
mind.
quenched.
What? Okay.
Anyway, but we're finally gonna get to see a pro football game, and we're gonna get to see the best man in the league play. So I think we're all gonna be really excited to talk about that. And by that time, probably some NBA stuff is gonna be going on. So really excited, looking forward to seeing what's gonna be going on during the next week. And besides that, I think that that's gonna be it.